Hey everybody, welcome to episode 35, I guess, for tip number 35 in the 101 Tips to Ace Your Promotional Exam series. So without further ado, as a reminder, my website, code3firetraining.com, has a lot of great free stuff on there for yourself as well as anyone else that you are mentoring to be the best they can be in their pursuit of excellence. All right. As a reminder, these tips are based on my latest book from Fire Engineering Books and Videos, 101 Tips to Ace Your Promotional Exam, available off their website, fireengineeringbooks.com, as well as my website below. And then you got a 25% off code in the green box. All right. Let's get going now. Tip number 35. We've talked about mentoring for the last few tips. Now it's time to switch gears a little bit. So one of the biggest things I think a lot of people don't take the time to really do, maybe as thorough as they should at, is looking at the job specification for the position that you're interested in or aspiring to. The job specification and the job description are usually one of the same to make sure you're qualified. And I say that because virtually every department, every governmental agency has job descriptions, job specifications for every position, fire chief all the way down to firefighter. Every rank in between has a job description. And I'll show you a sample here shortly, but each within that job description, you're going to have like qualifications, duties, responsibilities, all those other things. So I think the key is obviously early in your career, you should be deciding, what do I want to be when I grow up? But more seriously, what do I want to be when I, get toward, I guess, or better yet, where do I want to go in my career? Because you think about it, if you're fortunate to have a 20, 30, 40-year career in the fire service or in any line of work, most people usually don't stay in the same position that they started in. And there's nothing wrong with you for doing that. If you just want to be a firefighter, that's great. Be the best darn firefighter you can be. But for those that want to promote, the key is early in your career looking at, what, these are the opportunities that I have in front of me. And this is what I want to maybe find myself doing at some point. So the key is looking at the job specification early. So I'll show you an example of ours, good, bad, or indifferent. For example, your department, your agency should have something like this for every position. The title fire captain. This is ours for fire captain. Underneath the definition, you basically get an idea of, under the direction of the battalion chief or deputy chief, this classification is responsible for performing, directing, supervising activities of the fire station or assigned shift, blah, 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 blah. And I think I want to pick out some key things. I'm not going to obviously read it to you, but pick out some key things that hopefully will drive home some of the points I've been talking about so far. Take a look at that second paragraph, where it starts on the top left. Qualified fire captains on an active promotional list may work out a classification to the capacity of battalion chief, the rank above. I say that because I've been hitting hard the concept of don't just prepare for the test, prepare for the position. And one of the other tips I had was don't just prepare for the test, prepare for the position. But another tip was prepare for the position above, because it's critical that you understand not just what you're going to be expected to do in the rank that you want to be in, but what your boss is going to expect of you. And here's another good reason why, because you may find yourself acting up. Now, our department, you don't get to act up unless you're on the active promotional list. Well, some fire departments, you don't have to be on the acting list to act, meaning you could be a captain promoted tomorrow. And in theory, someone calls in sick or goes home sick at the rank above battalion chief. You could be, hey, Steve, guess what? You're acting as battalion chief today. Well, I just got promoted. Yeah, you did. Congratulations. But you're also acting up for whatever reason. So that's why it's critical to prepare for the rank that you want, plus the one above at least. Some other key points in the third paragraph. Incumbents may be assigned to a 56, the traditional shift schedule, or a 40-hour schedule Monday through Friday at the discretion of the fire chief. So that's something to think about, that, even though most of our positions for fire captain, lieutenant, whatever your company officer position is, are usually on a shift schedule, working out of a firehouse, on an engine or a truck, there are in some departments 40-hour staff positions. As you can see, like in our department, we have 40-hour captains in training, operations. We had one in support services. We have one in administration and planning. And we have them in fire prevention as well, too. Now, they're usually voluntary positions, but you could also get voluntold or kindly tapped on the shoulder to say, hey, you're doing a 2-year stint or a 1-year stint, whatever your department does. So go into the process. I mean, granted, 99% of the positions will be on the line at the firehouse, but there are occasional times where people get promoted to captain and or battalion chief, whatever rank, and the assignment may be in the office. So know what you're getting into, especially like if you have a 3-hour commute to work. I mean, I know many fire chiefs that ask that question during the oral interview. Hey, would you take a position in the office for 2 years or 1 year or 3 years to get a promotion? Meaning, if there's only one promotion and it's the 40-hour training captain, would you take that assignment? Now, be very careful about saying, well, yeah, of course I'll take it, chief. I'll do anything to get the promotion, hoping and assuming that it'll never happen, because there are times where that does happen. And then 3 months, 6 months later, the chief's like, hey, by the way, I got that promotion. Oh, great, chief. What is it, station 1 in the engine or the truck? No, it's the office for the next 2 years. But do you want the promotion or not? So I'm not saying you have to take it or you should take it. I mean, let's say you do live 3 hours away. It's unrealistic probably to take it, but just realize you may get passed over for the next person on the list. That there will be someone out there that'll take the assignment. So again, just know what you're getting into, and more importantly, don't lie to the fire chief, because I have one of my friends who's a fire chief. He always loves asking that question, but he also loves 6 months, 8 months later calling up, hey, John, guess what? I think I've got a captain's badge for you. All right, chief. And then, of course, usually the next line out of his mouth is, okay, so it's going to be in the office, working in whatever training division or fire prevention. There's usually the silence, he says. And the next thing you say is like, wait a second, I thought you wanted the badge. Well, chief. And then, of course, he reminds the guy, he pulls out his notes. Hey, back on this date when I was interviewing, you said you would work a 40-hour week. So what changed? Are you lying to me? Did you lie to me at the time? I mean, I know you may say that's cruel of the fire chief to do that, but you know what? It's cruel of someone to also lie if that's truly not their intent. So be honest, be truthful. On the flip side, I will say in a positive way that anyone that's ever worked a 40-hour assignment has benefited tremendously, especially the higher up they go. You look at our command staff right now, I believe all of our department's command staff, fire chief, the assistant, all the deputies at some point have worked 40-hour assignments, either as battalion chiefs, captains, or firefighters. It's beneficial and it helps you see the bigger picture. So back to the job description here. Obviously, there's some distinguishing characteristics that we're looking for, telling you what you may be doing, a whole lot of examples of duties and everything else. I mean, all this stuff's pretty standard for pretty much any department. But again, I think it's critical for you taking the time and energy to want to apply for a position and prepare for the position, that you know what you're getting into. You know, we've already talked about talking to those in the position, talking to the supervisors, doing your homework, but try to analyze each one of these things, excuse me, so you truly know what you're getting into. Because guess what? The testing process may consist of questions that relate to these things. So there should be no surprises if you prepared yourself. And then on the bottom right, typical physical and mental requirements, again, all basic stuff. Now on the next page of the job description, you know, again, more on the typical physical and mental requirements. And then now we get into our employment standards. This is the requirements to apply. Every department's different. Like for our captains, we have a 3-tier system. You can qualify under either, you know, option A, B, or C. Option A, you have to have 4 years basically as a firefighter engineer, 60 college units towards a degree in fire science or public administration or something close, plus your certified fire officer from the state fire marshal's office, or all 6 of the new company officer classes that are certified by the state fire marshal. Now you look at the next tier, that if you don't have 60 college units, then you've got to have 6 years. And if you've got 6 years on the job as a firefighter and engineer, then we also require 60 college units. So sorry, I take that back. So it still is 60 college units, but what changes in this one is that this case is, if you want to apply with 4 years, you had to have 60 college units and the state certified, excuse me, classes, whereas this one allows 6 years and either 60 college units or your state certification classes. And then the last one is for those people that may not have a lot of education and training, but they got 8 years on the job, basically, and either 30 college units toward a degree, or there a few of the classes. So it's a good, better, and different. It's a way to allow maybe people that don't have education or as much education to still apply. I know there's a lot of people and there's that complain about education, and there's a lot of discussion and debate out there about why does a company officer or chief officer need any education or training or whatever else. I know that some of you are going, why is that even a debate? And there's others that are going, a company officer doesn't need 60 college units. Hey, not here to debate it. I mean, it definitely can benefit you. My degree doesn't make me better than anybody else, but definitely provided me a lot of tools, resources, equipment, to help me move forward, I think, in my career. So that's just me. But anyway, make sure you meet the employment standards. And because here's the thing, you may not meet them now, but so if you don't meet them now, then it gives you something to strive for. But more importantly, make sure you keep an eye on them, because they can and do change. So you don't want to ever lock yourself out of being able to take a promotional exam because you're not qualified, or maybe you're shy a class or shy a unit. So now's the time, well in advance of the test, to start making sure you're going through line by line to say, ooh, I'm short that class, right? Got to get some more units there or whatever else. Then obviously the rest of it goes into more knowledge of what is expected of you as a company officer or captain, or the ability to do various different things. And then obviously a few other things, that are required, basically require you to have a state driver's license, which is, I mean, I think all of us have to have one anyway. And then obviously maintain your valid EMT certification. So those, I mean, it's a standard job description, job specification, but the key is you going through it for your department, highlighting the key things, highlighting your strengths, your weaknesses, um, and maybe making sure that you connect all the dots to get where you need to be. So take the time, look at it, you'll learn some things. But more importantly, just because you don't qualify now doesn't mean that you may not qualify. You may not qualify to apply. And when I say ask, I mean ask the question. Every time we throw a captain's test, a battalion chief's test, every now and then, not every, okay, I just contradicted myself, sorry, not every time, virtually every time, it seems like someone will usually apply that doesn't meet the qualifications. Now, it's easy for some people to say, why are you wasting our time applying if you don't qualify? Well, sometimes there's good reason. It's not uncommon to have somebody maybe that's 58 college units, 2 units shy, or maybe 3.5 years on the job. They're 6 months shy of the 4-year requirement, but they meet the education by far. It's not uncommon to have somebody like that write a letter to the fire chief, basically saying, hey, chief, I know the deadline is whatever, October 1st. I'm 2 college units shy, but I'm scheduled right now. Here's my payment. I've already paid for my class. I'm scheduled to graduate, say, October 31st, a month after the deadline. Can I still qualify? Now, most places will probably say pound salt. Nope. Thank you for applying. Nope. See you next time, or see you next year, or whatever else. But that can change. I used to be one of those people that was just, you know what, if you either meet it or you don't meet the qualifications. But I've also realized over time that numbers of qualified but also interested candidates can ebb and flow. So there have been times where we have allowed, probably like many other departments, if not most departments, people to apply that maybe didn't meet the qualifications because they wrote the letter. And more importantly, they didn't ask for a favor, but they basically shared a plan, meaning I don't have so many college units now, but I plan to have them within a month or two. And they're also upfront that if I fail the class, I will drop out of the process for the promotional process, which usually doesn't happen, meaning they usually pass the class. And you know what? Sometimes people get considered, or maybe I'm one class shy, but I have a plan here. So I think that's the key is, I'm not saying don't waste people's time, but if you've got a plan and you may be almost there, what's the worst they could do? Say no? Okay, yeah, it sucks, but you didn't meet it anyway, but you never know. And a lot of people sometimes will complain like, well, why did Joe get to take the test? Number one, he asked. Number two, he came up with a plan. He didn't just say, well, I'm, 2 months shy on the experience. I don't have any college. And you know what? You owe it to me. It's my right to take the promotional exam. I mean, come on, there's a tactful, respectful way to do it. And then there's a not so tactful, respectful way. So take the time to look at the time to look at the job specification or description is not right before the test, but way before the test, to make sure you're prepared. So as always, thank you very much for the gift of your time. Oh, excuse me. Thank you very much for the gift of your time. Like I shared earlier, I hope you're finding value to what I'm talking about and discussing and everything else. But, until the next episode, be safe, take care, and we will see you soon. Have a great day, everybody.